All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to talk about the Fidelity Blue Chip Growth ETF. This is an active ETF, has a little bit higher expense ratio, but I think you should consider looking at this fund. Let's get right into it. So the ticker symbol is FBCG, and this ETF is different from traditional ETFs. Traditional ETFs tell the public what assets they hold each day. This ETF is not going to. So that's why they're putting this disclaimer here, because it has additional risk for your investment. For example, you may have to pay more money to trade the ETF shares. This ETF will provide less information to traders, and they tend to charge more for the trades when they have less information. So the price you pay to buy the ETF shares on the exchange may not be the value of the ETF's portfolio. The same is true when you sell the shares. So these price differences may be greater for the ETF compared to the ETFs with less information to the traders. So I want to start with that disclaimer because I want you to be aware of when you're trading this ETF, you could have higher fees. But let's do a quick overview of the Fidelity Blue Chip Growth ETF, FBCG. The expense ratios start at 0.59%, which you can see right here for the gross and the net expense ratio. But this is a very concentrated portfolio, and I want to just show you the chart real quick, just so you can get an idea of the growth potential that this has. So looking at the growth potential of FBCG, let's bring the 10-year chart up right here. And this opened up at $20, blasted up to 36, all the way back down to 21 and during 2022 when we had that big drop, and then basically doubled from here, went up to 38. So it has some very good swings in it. And if this starts to sell off, it's definitely something to consider. Let's jump into the composition of it. This is an actively managed, large growth, blue chip stocks. So the fund seeks to perform long-term growth of capital, normally investing at least 80% of its assets in blue chip companies through Fidelity's management and research company, LLC. So I want to just show you the composition here so you can see, because there is a lot of overlap when looking at this. So I want you to focus on the left side of the screen, top holdings. As of March 31st, 2024, 61%, almost 62% is invested in these top 10 companies right here. NVIDIA leading the way right now at 12.89%, Microsoft at 10%, Amazon at 9.5%, Apple at 7.5%, Google 6.37%, Meta, Lilly & Co., Uber, Netflix, and Marvel. So remember, this is actively traded, so that means that a fund manager is choosing these companies, these 10, and saying, I think they're going to perform the best over 2024. Let's look into this really quick, the prospectus. Just like we reviewed, long-term growth potential of capital, having 80% of the assets in blue chip companies, which is in these 10 companies right here. I want to bring up this so we can see what are the other companies. So right here, you can see the basket holding 192 companies total in this fund, but some of the other companies, they make up about 1.6 and then decreasing down to like 0.4, 0.5%. But just so you can see, you have different semiconductor companies, you have Snapchat in there, MasterCard, Lowe's, Salesforce. Tesla is at a measly almost 1%, not even 0.93%, just to give you an idea of what else is in this fund. Now I want you to see the life of the fund here. We've had some good performance here, and this is why I am bringing this ETF up, because when you trade an ETF, you can buy and sell the same day, and that's what I like about it. That's why I'm bringing it up. So as you can see, if you held $10,000 right here around June of 2020, you'd have about $15,000. So the reason it is so attractive is because within 1 year, the large cap blue chip companies gained 45%. So although we look at the life of the fund and it's done 17% a year, which is excellent, that beats the S&P 500, you can get years when you buy on downturns like 2022 and gain 45% without taking all that risk of buying an individual stock. So that's why I like buying growth funds, because you can get that growth potential without losing all your money just in one stock, or the market increases and then you're not in a growth company. You're not buying a basket of them. The biggest thing you got to think about, though, is this expense ratio worth it, the 0.59%? That's something you have to ask yourself, And I think it's justifiable when you're buying it on downturns in the market. And then you're potentially just waiting and being patient for it. So look at the key statistics here because I want you to see this. It's an ETF like we reviewed. It's actively managed. Let's look at the comparing the portfolio fundamentals. Then we'll go into the management team. Looking at the portfolio fundamentals, the net expense ratio is high. It's 0.59%, but you're paying for performance here. And if you're getting 45% in 1 year, they're delivering. It doesn't matter if you're paying 0.59% expense ratio if you're getting a 45% gain on the year. So look at that right there, which is nice. Now let's look at the fund managers. You have two of them right here. Portfolio manager in the equity division of Fidelity Investments, a leading provider. And this is why I like Fidelity. Fidelity gives you how long these active fund managers have been working. So Sonu, 10-year, 3 years and 10 months. That's who's managing your money. They're making decisions on it. So as you can see, blue chip growth fund right there. And then you have Kim, 3 years, 10 months experience. And they're using quantitative analysis to do this. This is something that I wanted to show you from before. This is a generally pretty new fund. I went on the max on the chart, and as you can see, we only have data tracking during June of 2022. Now remember, this is during that COVID crash, and there, this was started at $20, and then you basically doubled your investment if you bought this 3 years ago. So you definitely have to keep that in mind. This is a newer fund, only been out for about 4 years. So you definitely have to keep that in consideration, but they have the big blue chip companies all involved here. So if you don't want to buy individual stocks, you can buy growth funds, and this is active. So if a company's not performing, they're going to take them out and they're going to put somebody else in there. But I just wanted you to see that, just the life of it. Only about 4 years it's been out, and it's doubled since. So I always want to give you alternatives. I went under the comparisons tool. This is an active ETF for growth funds, but there are other alternatives out there. You have SCHD right here, which is the Schwab US Large Growth, where it operates if an expense ratio is too high for you. You can get this at 0.04%, where it's passively managed, and the gains are a little bit less, 40% in the last 52 weeks, whereas this is getting 51% gains. But you're paying that less expense ratio, and if you're holding it long term, are you really going to fret 10% difference? You have the IWF, the iShares Russell 1000 Growth, which I've been meaning to make a video on, 36% gains. You have the Vanguard Russell 1000, and then the VUG, Vanguard Growth, where you're paying 0.04%. So there are other alternatives. So you're watching this video, I'll post another growth fund that I trade that I like to hold long term, FSPGX. I'll post that video at the end just so you can see and compare as well. But definitely something to consider. Sometimes these active funds can be worth it. I think in the long run, I'd rather stick to a lower expense ratio, but I think it's good to see what the active managers are putting out there for you. All right, guys, if you like what you're watching, this is my channel, Trading Simplified. Got 1.76 thousand subscribers, 405 videos. I have a lot to offer. Check out my playlist. Check out my join. You can join the membership if you just want to show some support. Greatly appreciated. And the playlist we have here, the Fidelity Active Index Funds and ETFs, if you want specifically Fidelity, which I'll post this video in. The Vanguard investments I put within here, this playlist. I got my day trading P&L in 2024. And then I have what I use to day trade, which is Fidelity Active Trader Pro. Long-term investments over here. So there's a little bit of everything. Tell me if you like it. Leave a comment, subscribe, and appreciate it if you share the video with one other person. Until next time, guys.